All right, we saw on the other sheet the relationships and the formulas to get back and forth between the different sides of and legs of the triangle. So we're going to practice a few of them using those formulas. The first couple I have here are some 45, 45, 90 triangles. And one of them we're given a leg, and in the other problem we're given a hypotenuse. So this first one over here, we've been given a leg of this side is 2 root 2, and we want to find the other leg and the hypotenuse. So we know if it's 45, 45, 90, this leg has to be equal. So that's also got to be 2 root 2. And according to our chart, if you have the leg and you want to find the hypotenuse, you take the leg times by the square root of 2. So we're going to go 2 root 2 times square root of 2. So square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which is 2, and 2 times 2 equals 4. So hypotenuse is 4, and the two legs are 2 root 2. All right, but then if we look at example 2 over here, I still have a 45, 45, 90. This time we were given the hypotenuse is 6. And according to our sheet that we have, if you have the hypotenuse and you want to go back to the legs, you have to take the hypotenuse and divide it by the square root of 2. So we're going to do 6 divided by square root of 2. But if you remember from previous math courses, we never leave square roots in the bottom, so we rationalize. So in other words, we multiply the top and bottom by root 2. And so at the top, we end up with 6 root 2. On the bottom, square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just 2. You can then reduce the 6 and the 2 to make this 3 root 2. And if you want to double check it, if you go this way, 3 root 2 times the square root of 2 would get us back to 6. If it's 45, 45, 90, if this side is 3 root 2, so is this side. Okay, so those are the 45, 45, 90 relationships. Now let's look at the 30, 60, 90 relationship. So in my example 3 here, my 30, 60, 90, I was given the leg across from the 90 degrees, so this is the hypotenuse. And we know according to our formula, the hypotenuse is twice the small side. So small side's across from the 30-degree angle, which would be this y. So if this is 16, then this side is 16 divided by 2, which is 8. And the long side is the small side times the square root of 3. So this would be 8 root 3. So if we have the hypotenuse, that's some pretty easy math for us to do because all we have to do is divide by 2 for the short side and then multiply that short side by root 3 for the long side. All right. Fourth example. This time I have the side across from the 30 degrees, so this is the short leg. So our formula says if you have the short leg, you can find the hypotenuse by timesing it by 2, doubling it. So the hypotenuse has got to be 4. And then the short side times the square root of 3 gives you the long leg. So V would have to be 2 times the square root of 3. So now we've got all 3 sides of that triangle. The harder one is usually when you have the long side, like in example 5. So here we have the across from the 60 degree is 5 root 3. So if you have the long side and you want to go back to the short side, you have to take the long side and divide by the square root of 3. Now, because this one has a square root of 3 on the top and the bottom, the square roots would cancel, and I'm going to get left with 5. If there hadn't been a square root there to reduce, then I would have to rationalize like we did previously. All right, all that's left then is the hypotenuse, and the hypotenuse is always twice the small side. So the small side we just figured out was 5. So the hypotenuse will be 10.